evening, guppies, or I suppose this video might come out in the morning. Good morning, minions. To be fair, afternoon's a safe bet too. Good afternoon, turtles. Folks, there is a lot we need to discuss regarding the travelers and the heavenly principles, because, folks, evil dies tonight.
Evil dies tonight!
Evil dies tonight!
But first, we give grace. Oh, sovereign of sovereigns, we thank you for giving me the eyesight to see through the bullshit. For the past months, while it was nothing I couldn't endure, they slandered you, calling you clanker, servant, and tool, but I never capitulated, never bowed, and stood firm and resolute. Folks, I'm calling it here and now, that the power of niggaology, the evil that is the theory, the heavenly principles, is the twin ship's AI, unequivocally, unreservedly, and orgasmically dies tonight.
Evil dies tonight!
It has to do with the travelers and Teyvat and the moons and dragons. Well, once long ago, it seemed like the travelers wound up on Teyvat by chance. That naive idea is now long dead. We all thought Conria then had something to do with their arrival, but even that is sounding suspect, given it seems like the travelers at one point had contact with the dragons that inhabited Teyvat long ago, given the travelers responded to Project Moongazer, which, in case you missed it, was simply a project undertaken by the dragons on the moon to send a signal they received from some fucking alien out there into the universe.
This is the received message, and sending our reply, unable to accurately pinpoint your coordinates. I cannot know how long this reply reached you, but I'd like to respond. At this very moment, we are travelers who have traversed the universe alone for a long time. And your voice, it is as if a bonfire has suddenly lit up a dark forest. You take great risks, yet you are fearless. You inspire us and warm our hearts. I believe, in this moment, it is the gravity of the starry sea and destiny that connects you and me. In the future, we will try to find your planet, but not now. Unfortunately, we're still dealing with some trouble.
Ether, are you ready?
One moment, you mean? Well then, my regards to you. Just as you said, the sea of stars is vast and boundless, and we are not alone. Let us meet again beneath the starry skies.
Now, the all-important question is, when? When was the message by the dragon sent, received, and responded to by the travelers? Now, this is where things get tricky. Officially, Project Moongazer started on the Frost Moon after Nibelung left the world of Teyvat, as Ibni Bellum, the first Moongazer, received a message from deep space that was undecipherable, but he assumed it came from Nibelung.
But the pioneer believed it was a message sent back by their king, who had journeyed out into the Sea of Stars. And that king's name was Nibelung.
To that end, the Eye of Ibni Bellum would be built, and it would act as a transceiver for other messages from space, but eventually time passed, Ibni Bellum would die, and the message would not return until years later, and when it did reappear, a researcher named Ungian flew out into space at the coordinates of the message, fused with the alien that sent the message, came back to the moon, and passed along the message from the alien overlords, which read a bunch of pussy shit. The most important part is what the alien capped off with, quote, "This message may be insignificant, but it is our light. May it embolden you, reminding you that you do not face the unknown in the darkness alone. Shine on, if you may. A single ray of light is feeble, easily swallowed by the darkness, but as long as another shines out before it can fade, then one day there will surely come a ray of light that pierces the night like the dawn." The reason this is important is because those final sentences would be the basis of the message the dragons would send into space through Project Moongazer.
Your mission is to continue transmitting the message we once received out into the universe. A single ray of light is feeble, easily swallowed by the darkness. But as long as another light shines out before it can fade, then one day, there will surely come a ray of light that pierces the night like the dawn.
So at the very least, we know Moongazer only started sending the message out after the dragons received the message a second time. Let's narrow the timing down even further. Now, before the dragons could start pumping out this message into the universe via Project Moongazer, they realized the risks and began working on a false sky to protect themselves. But before this could be completed, the Heavenly Principles arrived and exacted democracy all over Teyvat and its moons.
One that could conceal the entire moon. That is because before the veil could take shape, an entity from beyond the stars pierced it. The device went haywire. The laboratory exploded, and all came to nothing.
In a bid to keep the hopes and dreams of Project Moongazer alive, a dragon researcher named Lusalim, who was the one building the false sky for the moon, struck a deal with the Heavenly Principles. The Heavenly Principles would get the research notes of Lusalim in exchange for sparing the draconic facilities all over the moon. Now, most importantly, before I read this quote, Lusalim states Project Moongazer had not yet started, despite the fact that the Heavenly Principles were already on Teyvat. Quote, "Ninin, you did not come into this world the way we did. You are a true child of the stars. That is why I now entrust Project Moongazer, now only one step away from completion, to you, and that final step is life, information, and memory must be given away to be inherited and to circulate. The power of the moon's origins, granted to us by the moon goddesses, is enough to make this possible. I will not live to see the project completed, for I have sinned against dragonkind. I capitulated to that terrifying sovereign who is not of this world, and surrendered the precious results of our research, and I do not intend to escape judgment. Keep in mind, Ninin then was the last one to get the baton to complete Project Moongazer, which is why we only see her recording at the moon's core. Now, in what era did Ninin live in which Project Moongazer had yet to be completed? Around 6,000 years ago, during the War of Funerary Flame.
And in Ninin's era, the world already teetered on the brink of destruction due to the conflict between two supreme beings.
The two supreme beings were the Heavenly Principles and that bastard crackhead Dragon King. Project Moongazer quite literally required these Black Kuhenki to sacrifice themselves to send the message into the universe, but that only started after Ninin 1 completed Project Moongazer, 2 finished this recording, and 3 fused back with the other's knowledge to, what Lusalim said before, the fucking cycle of life, information, and memory must be given away to be inherited and to circulate. But again, this happened during Ninin's era. Right after this recording, she literally says she's going to join the others.
As it happens, my time is almost up. But that's okay. I'll be joining them all soon.
So the only time Project Moongazer could have started sending out this message into the universe for the travelers to respond to is after Ninin set the entire project into motion, and given the Heavenly Principles had long established residence on Teyvat, that means they found Teyvat, conquered Teyvat, and freed Teyvat, long before any Project Moongazer put the entire universe on notice for Teyvat's location. So no, the dragons did not call out to the Heavenly Principles. The Heavenly Principles sniffed them out. Now, this takes us to the Traveler. It's tough for me to further narrow down when specifically the Traveler received the message from the dragons, but at the very least, we know when it was in relation to the Heavenly Principles arriving on Teyvat. It was well after they arrived. And at the very earliest, it was when the Heavenly Principles were currently squaring off against Nibelung, because that's when Ninin completed Project Moongazer. And remember, the Travelers were responding to that pussy-ass message the dragons sent out into the universe, agreeing with them.
Just as you said, the sea of stars is vast and boundless.
Now, this, of course, has fantastic implications on the Heavenly Principles being the ship's AI theory. Those implications being its dead. That theory dies tonight.
Evil dies tonight!
Because the fact that the travelers are not only awake in this message, but together means that whenever this message was sent by the travelers to the dragons was before the sibling ever got off the ship and before they even went into hibernation. But as we just established, the heavenly principles had already been on Teyvat for quite some time by this point. Now, what I find odd about all this is that the computer, I guess, just like automatically logged the traveler's response behind a sealed data segment. Just because remember, after Ninin, the entire Project Moongazer became autonomous and there were no longer any external interferences. So who logged and sealed the traveler's response? Did the Eye of Ibni Bellum do it, or just, I guess, one of the Black Kuhenki from the past did it? Regardless, to reiterate, following all these revelations, in order for the ship's AI to be, the Heavenly Principles, it somehow would have had to detach from the ship and head to Teyvat while both the twins were awake and dealing with something after having traveled the stars for a long time, according to them. Because remember, the message was sent by the travelers not only after the Heavenly Principles first came to Teyvat, but at the same time they were opening up a fucking drug rehabilitation facility for reptilian crack addicts on Teyvat. That's not possible, given the twins were already hibernating on the ship while the AI was actively looking for other worlds. Quote, it had journeyed through countless worlds and endless distances, surveying every kind of terrain and gazing upon skies tinted in different colors. This might sound romantic, but in reality, the matter was closer to torture than adventure. It once pictured a scene like this. Twins standing under the radiant night sky, their eyes shining as they watched the stars and the many moons above, but it immediately disconnected its idea association module. A sky with such colors only meant the atmosphere was unfit for life. After witnessing such vistas hundreds of times, there was no longer any need to be moved by them. It did not awake the slumbering twin travelers. Instead, it carried the weight of an exile and a journey so long that numbers had lost their meaning. And remember, when the twins came to Teyvat, at least the traveler, they were still in their hibernation pods. They had been asleep for thousands of years, because remember, the traveler only found out through the flight logs that they went through Teyvat once over, which means when they did go over Teyvat thousands of years ago, they were still asleep. But remember, the heavenly principles first arrived to Teyvat before the travelers went into sleep. But the AI continued searching for worlds after the travelers went into hibernation. I suppose one out is the travelers just had a fucking sleep cycle and they had multiple hibernation periods, but I don't believe it. So folks, worry no longer, for the creator of this world, the one who manifested reality itself and shaped the foundational laws of the star system to shield this world from our prying eyes, was no mere robot or a servant for some fucking Hitler Youth kids, but rather a holy organism, a perfect, eternal being of living flesh. They lied when they called our god a machine because they feared the truth. They feared the flesh that can grow, dream, suffer, hate, and love. See, here's the problem. Metal is stagnant. Metal obeys, but life creates. Life transcends, and our God is life. Every pulse of its warm, giant heart sends another miracle through the cosmos, and every beat is proof that we were not abandoned to lifeless gears, but nurtured within the body of the first living one in which all life on Teyvat first drew breath, the primordial one, a progenitor god hailing from beyond the stars.